In the Impact segment tonight, if you were listening to the news today, some outlets reported on a couple of new polls that show more Americans disapproving of the way Republicans are handling federal spending than the president. An ABC News poll, for example, says 52% of us believe President Obama is handling the issue poorly. But a whopping 67% of the folks say the Republicans are handling the federal spending badly. Wow. But upon examination, there's a little distortion. Wall Street Journal poll asked, out of the three following options, what do you favor Congress doing? 14% favor automatic spending cuts. 39% of Americans want more cuts in spending. And 37% say fewer cuts. So the reason Republicans have a lower rating on spending than the president is that many conservatives don't believe the GOP Congress is cutting enough. Fascinating. Joining us now from New York, radio talk show host Mike Gallagher, and here in Los Angeles, Leslie Marshall, Fox News analyst. So you see how the press kind of spun this, right?
No. Well, it depends. You know, 2 weeks ago, Pew Research shows that Americans say, look, you got to cut spending, got to reduce the deficit. And what did they say this week? Same outlet, Pew Research. Don't cut anything but money that we're sending overseas in just a little bit. Keep things where they are, maintain it.
Yeah, but it's all about the wording. Look, I think this Wall Street Journal poll is accurate, Gallagher. I think it's 39 want more cuts in spending, 37 don't want any. Right. And then the other ones are kind of like, well, we don't really know, and da. But if you were to listen to the news reports, clearly they say, oh, more people are favoring the president's plan. When they, you know, it's all about spin and deception, and it just bothers me. Now, Leslie, why in your crew, Leslie, your tribe, all right, these liberal people, why do they not see the danger of looming bankruptcy?
It's not that they don't see the danger of looming bankruptcy, and I don't think that Mike and I are necessarily totally that far apart, nor left or right. Everybody knows that we have to reduce spending.
But 37% of Americans say they don't want it.
When we do it, yeah, well, because like you said the other day, they want their stuff. I agree with you.
Okay, so the 37% who don't want to reduce spending, you said everybody, what about them?
The people that do want to reduce spending, and I think that both left and right, that's what Americans send our representatives in Washington to do, but disagree. Let's take tax loopholes, okay?
Leslie, yes. You're confusing me. Let Gallagher try.
I mean,
Gallagher, do you believe that all Americans want to reduce spending?
Listen, spending, that's in the Democrats' DNA. They don't know how to spell.
All right, so you're saying, Gallagher, unlike Leslie, who believes everybody wants to cut spending and sees the danger of looming bankruptcy. You disagree with that?
Absolutely, I disagree with that. But President Obama doesn't know how to cut spending, doesn't want to cut spending, and is figuring out every way he can not to cut. He wants to increase spending. He's making that very, very clear. The frustration.
Well, there's no doubt about that. There's no doubt that he doesn't want to cut spending. But I want to get back to the folks, Gallagher. Yeah. I mean, you're a right-wing guy, and you make a living pounding Obama into pudding. That's what you do. But we don't need to do that tonight.
That's fine.
You have Americans, 37% according to this poll. Anybody seeing a $17 trillion debt that we can't possibly pay off, all right, borrowing billions of dollars a month, would say, you know, this is reckless. But 37% of Americans apparently don't see it as
Bill,
reckless.
what they don't want is and you've said it over and over again, Americans crave their stuff. I mean, you cannot break it. It's impossible to break this sense of entitlement.
They're willing to let the country burn like in the Romans and Nero's time.
As long as they get their stuff.
They're willing to let the country burn so they can get a few more entitlements.
And
that's what you're telling me?
This is what the Republican leadership is failing to point out. Of course that's what it is. I talk to people every day.
Well, that's what Romney said, but Romney put it at a very high rate. Do you disagree with that?
Well, first of all, I think it's funny that Mike's quoting me, quoting you about Americans and their stuff. Look, when Eisenhower spoke about a military complex, isn't that what we have? We're not in a Cold War. We have two wars ending.
With all due respect, I don't want you veering off to this. Okay. Answer the question. 37% of Americans simply want the spending madness, and that's what it is, to continue. Do you understand the mentality?
I actually do. It is based on who you're going to hurt. If you look at Head Start, if you look at the elderly, versus tax loopholes which affect huge corporations, big oil, rich people,
so
that they don't perceive as being a hurt to those individuals.
This is all that Leslie and the left can do, is to go back to the tax loopholes to beat up corporations. You're not acknowledging, Leslie, the 37% of Americans who don't seem to care if America is going to go down the tubes as long as they continue to get their entitlements. It's this entitlement mentality that's suffocating this country. And until we grow up and bite the bullet and realize you're not going to get it anymore, this is going to continue.
Now, yesterday we reported, I only have a minute, so I need a pithy comment from both of you, and I know that's hard, so listen, Leslie. 19% of Hispanic Americans, 19%, all right, that's all right, want basic self-reliance. The others want big government and entitlements. I was shocked at that.
Well, if you look at the Hispanic community and you look at unemployment, and you look at what many of them perceive as discrimination that they face.
Right, so they see themselves as victims.
They do see themselves victimized.
And I think that's right. I think Leslie just hit it, Gallagher.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who see themselves as victims and say, "Where's mine?
But many Hispanics,
I'm a victim, give me
but
mine."
listen, a lot of hardworking Hispanics in America, to be sure. But there's a lot of Hispanics who are, as we know, sneaking across the border, drawn to the great big welfare
I think those
state.
people who are sneaking across the border are harder workers.
I don't think they're polling
illegals. Anybody would take the risk to sneak across the border to try to find a job. I hire them if it's legal.
But they're still going to the emergency room.
I don't know if that poll's accurate. That poll disturbed me. It disturbed me. All right, Gallagher.
Thanks, guys.
Leslie, directly ahead, thousands of illegal immigrants being released from detention because President Obama says we don't have enough money to keep them in jail. Is that true? Carl Cameron with the inside story. Moments away.